Hey guys, how are you doing? Hope you all are well. Danger of false prophecies. I think we're having a connection error here on Facebook. Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. It should be good. Yep. Facebook's good. Sorry, guys. Checking the connection on YouTube. Please permit me. You guys getting me? All right. Let's start with a Heavenly Father. I thank you for renewed mercies upon this generation. Father, I ask for your love and your loving kindness. Father, I ask that you do not depart from us, your children. Father, have mercy on us. Guide, guard, and protect us. Bless the thoughts of our heads and the words of our mouths. Speak to us and speak through us. In Yahushua's name, I pray. And all the people in the house said a very big amen. I'm going to try to keep today as short as possible. First of all, what are prophecies? What can you describe as a prophecy? First of all, if you were to check out the dictionary meaning of a prophecy is a message that is claimed by a prophet to have been communicated to them by a deity. Such messages typically involve inspiration, interpretation, revelation of a divine will concerning the prophet's social world and events to come. Is there anything wrong with prophecy? The scriptures are very clear. Go with me to the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. I'm reading from the New Living Translation. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 20. It says, "Do not scoff at prophecies." If you read it in the New International Version, it says, "Do not treat prophecies with contempt." But you see, a lot of people jump at this and say, you cannot joke with a prophecy. Once you hear a prophecy, you've got to be very careful. Prophecy this, prophecy that. You need to read what comes before scoffing at a prophecy. It says, let's start from 19. It says, "Don't stifle the Holy Spirit. Don't scoff at prophecies, but test everything that is said." Test everything that is said. Hold on to what is good. Stay away from every kind of evil. How do you... Scenario. Osama bin Laden was claimed to have been killed by the US. I didn't believe. You know why? Because they never had his DNA. Ever. How does DNA work? For instance, let me look for somebody in the feed today. For instance, Faith Fanta Roland. Fanta Roland is here. How do I know that Fanta Roland broke into my house and stole a bottle of wine? Simple. I get the DNA from the bottle of wine or from the doorknob or from anywhere. Maybe she cut herself as she was coming in and then she left her DNA behind. I now match that DNA to her. Right? I catch her in person. We take her to the police station. We now match her DNA to the DNA on the door. We now have a case, right? How do we get Osama bin Laden? How do you know that the person you killed is Osama bin Laden? When Osama bin Laden then, according to our reports, had many people that looked like him. How do you know it was him when you never had his DNA? For you to be able to conclusively say this person was this person, you have caught him before, taken a sample of his DNA. So when you now catch him later or see his body, you can now match that body to that. But what are you matching his DNA? What are you testing his DNA with? That brings me back to the sermon. See what Desmond Elliott has us now. Desmond. It says, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 21 says, but test everything. How do you test? When you don't know what a genuine prophecy is. Someone said dental records. They didn't have his dental records. Facial recognition is not enough. Do you know how many people look like me? Did somebody not say I look like Pastor Chris the other day? So how do you test a prophecy? Because there was a story in the scriptures. Go with me to the book of 1 Kings chapter 13. 1 Kings chapter 13. I think we should start from 1 Kings chapter 12 to be able to establish the story. Let me just use the 13:1. Let's read from verse 7. 1 Kings 13 and 7. Then the king said to the man of God, come to the palace with me and have something to eat, and I'll give you a gift. But the man of God said to the king, even if you gave me half of everything you own, I will not go with you. I will not eat or drink anything in this place. For the Lord gave me this command, you must not eat or drink anything while you are here, and do not return to Judah by the same way you came. So he left Bethel and went home another way. As it happened, there was an old prophet living in Bethel, and his sons came home and told him that the man of God, or what the man of God had done, unknown, man of God had done in Bethel that day. They also told their father that the man had said to the king. The old prophet asked them, which way did he go? So they showed their father the road the man of God had taken. Quick, saddle the donkey, the old man said, and they saddled it. And he mounted it. Then he rode after the man of God and found him sitting under a great tree. The old replied, then he said to the man of God, come home with me and eat some food. No I can't, she replied. I'm eat or drink anything while you're here, and do not return to Judah by the same way you came. But the old prophet answered, I am a prophet too. And God gave me this command: bring him home with you so that he can have something to eat and drink. But the old man was lying to him. So they went back together, and the man of God ate and drank from the prophet's home. While they were still sitting at the table, a man from the Lord came to the prophet. He cried out to the man of God from Judah, this is what the Lord says, you have defiled the word of the Lord and disobeyed the commands the Lord has given you. You came back to the place and ate and drank where he told you not to eat and drink. Because of this, your body will not be buried in the grave of your ancestors. After the man of God finished eating and drinking, the old prophet saddled his own donkey for him, and the man of God started off again. But as he the lion came out and ate him. His body lay there on the road, the lion standing beside it. People passed by the body lying on the road, the lion standing beside it, and they went and reported it in Bethel, where the old prophet lived. What does this teach us? He was right, the younger prophet. The older prophet was a liar. How do you know the prophets prophesying to you are not liars? What test have you done? Have you tested their integrity? Do they even understand the gospel? Do they understand what the scriptures are telling us? Do they know anything? Which verse are we on? Nedu, we're on 1 Kings chapter 13, and I was reading from verse 7 all the way down. So my question is, how do you trust a prophet? Have you seen it now? How do you know a prophet is genuine? You see, not first, is it 1 Kings 7? It's 1 Kings 13 from verse 7. 1 Kings 13 from verse 7. I was studying the Constantinople battle the other day, and let me tell you one thing that played a very key role in that battle. It was against Romans who were Christian. And you know what? One thing that played a very big role. You see, the Muslims were losing the battle. They had actually lost it. The morale in the Roman camp was very high. The emperor, although he had fewer soldiers than the Sultan, had a very tall fence, formidable fence, that they just couldn't break down. And they had the advantage because they were shooting from up. And the Sultan was left with his final squad, last squad. The emperor was expecting reinforcement from the Pope. Do you know what messed everything up? An eclipse of the moon and how it was interpreted. The Sultan interpreted the eclipse of the moon as the downfall of their enemy, while the Romans interpreted the eclipse of the moon as their own downfall. Because the eclipse of the moon in those days was called the blood moon. There was an ancient prophecy that said when the blood moon comes, they will be able to take over Constantinople. That prophecy, as far as I'm concerned, studying that battle, led to one of the greatest losses of all time. The Sultan's stepmother also interpreted what the astrologers saw and said, look, you're going to win this battle. Do you realize that that prophecy for the Sultan gave him morale and courage to do what no one else could have done? Because when he sent his first troop and they died, second troop lost them. He was left with his final squad. His teacher told him, he said, don't do this. If you do this, you lose all your army. But because someone had given him prophecy, and because he had interpreted the blood moon, despite the fact let me block Lekwa Shandi's IQ is lower than the IQ of a frog egg. Now, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. If I told you, Simply Vic, I was able to convince you that if you buy Bitcoin, you're going to be a billionaire, and you have $20,000 in your account. Even though right now, if you buy $20,000 worth of Bitcoin, it will be hard for you to lose it on the long run over a 2-year period. Even if Bitcoin slows in its crawl, you would still make something over a 2-year period. But normally, without that prophecy, you will not have had the mind to try it. He, because of that prophecy, had the mind to put his last soldiers on the line and say, you know what, we enter Constantinople. And because those other ones had interpreted their own moon as a tragedy for them, their morale was low. So at the end of the day, it became a battle of prophecies. Many people don't understand that half the time prophecies work on your psyche. They work on the fact that you're human and there's something you're looking for. And there's one of the most dangerous biases called the confirmation bias. Please just put this to Google. Type confirmation bias. On your minds. Confirmation bias, listen to this, is the tendency to search for, 1, to interpret, 2, to favor, 3, or confirms or supports one's prior belief or value. You will search for information. Like, for instance, if I came to you and you were going through a problem with your wife, and I said, you married the wrong woman. God told me to tell you, you married the wrong woman. Because you're already believing that by yourself, you will hold on to my prophet. Now, I want us to look at this. They say people display this bias when they select information that supports their views, ignoring contrary information, or when they interpret ambiguous evidence. This ambiguous evidence is what is killing Christians today. You go to bed and have a dream, and you wake up thinking it was God talking to you. You had a dream. Your dreams are your subconscious playing back things you noticed and things you didn't notice, forming them into what your mind can interpret. Oh, I'm not saying there are no premonitions. I'm not saying God doesn't speak to you through dreams. God. I'm not saying God doesn't speak to you through dreams. I am saying 90% of your dreams are nothing but your mind picking up the pieces of your life, the ones you paid attention to, the ones you paid attention to, and the ones you didn't pay attention to. Let me give you an example. It happens to me a lot. That's why you study your dreams scientifically, not spiritually, half the time. I used to go to my friend's house and I always saw their mom. And one day I had a dream that the mother quarreled with me. And then a day later, the woman quarreled with me and told me not to come to their house again. Meanwhile, after that, then I wasn't religious. So I didn't have that interpretation. Let me interpret this dream as God is speaking to me. I now started picking two and two together. So when she was talking to me like this, you see, there are times she's talking to me, my brain is gathering all the information, but I'm not processing all of it. My subconscious is like, listen to me here, it's like walking and chewing gum. When you don't have to stop walking to chew gum, right? Try it. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. You don't have to stop chewing gum to walk, and you don't have to stop walking to chew gum. You can literally do both together easily. That's how your mind works. The way you are chewing gum and walking without actually thinking that you are doing anything serious, that's exactly how the subconscious part of your mind works. It records information, not just visual, but auditory. Even your olfactory senses pick up smells. That's how, let me give you an example. I used to like using this transparent Pears soap as a child and in the university. But for a long time I stopped. As a guy, I stopped buying my own soap. I was just using any soap that's in the bathroom. I go into the bathroom, I see soap I use. Guys usually don't go out and get soap. Now I have my own soaps. And there was a day after like 15 years, I'd never used that. I just saw it in the shop. I said, this is my old soap that I used to use. Let me buy it. I got into the bathroom that day to take a bath. As soon as I opened it, the smell hit me and I immediately was back in my bathroom in my father's house where I used it last 15 years ago. I could smell the surroundings. What happened was each time I was having my bath, my brain understood the smell and filed it in a portion of its archives. The day I brought out the soap again, I was referenced back to that same portion of my archives. Now, your daily life involves you experiencing love, joy, peace, trauma, pain, sadness. And very often, there are many things in your life that you ignore. You've trained your mind. It's like you are at work and two people are fighting. It's not your business. You need to get your work done. So you focus on your work. But when you are working, you can hear your brain, your ear, like you are chewing gum and walking, your ear can actually hear and concentrate on what's happening and is recording that. 2 weeks later, 1 week later, 2 nights later, your ear can choose your brain, I beg your pardon, can choose a portion of what it recorded that day and edit it inside your head and create a dream for you out of what it has stored over the years. Now, should you pay attention to those dreams? Yes, because sometimes the dreams tell you what your subconscious is doing without you being conscious of it. For instance, if you dream that somebody hates you, pay attention to that person, because maybe your eyes, your nose, your ears, your skin was all recording information while you were around that person that your conscious part of your brain was not taking into cognizance, while your brain was storing all that information and replaying it back to you at a later time. Who's with me today? The subconscious part of your brain is very powerful. It doesn't mean God is talking to you. Someone said, what about dreams that actually come true? I've had a dream that came true before. And I've never had one before, and I've never had one after. I'll tell you how this dream came true. So I use that dream to rate every other dream. Let me tell you the dream. I was sleeping. I woke up about 7 a.m. in the morning to use the bathroom. I went back to sleep. It was one of those lazy days. I was in bed. And I had this dream like I'd never had before then, and I've never had after then. It was so clear. In the dream, I was like, this is a really clear dream. This is like 3D. I saw a plane fly over my house and crash into a building, and I saw people burning. And I ran out of my room into my sitting room, and my mother and my immediate younger sister were there holding a cake for my last born sister that was born on the 3rd of June. And I woke up. Now, this is no ordinary dream. This is a dream that has a date, 3rd of June. A plane crashed into houses on the 3rd of June. It took about 3 months for this dream to come true, and it happened exactly that way with the Dana air crash. On the 3rd of June. On a Sunday. And guess what? My mother, everything that I never put it together then. We went to, that time I was in one church that has big cathedral like this. We went to do prayer meeting, what was it called? Friday night into Saturday morning prayers. It didn't work. Maybe I could have, right now, with my heightened sense of spirituality, maybe I could have done something else. But then, we prayed about it and I let it go, and it happened like that. And guess what? I told my ex about it. I know what my ex said. Now, we had a small house, and my sister had a 5-bedroom duplex. So my parents never came to stay with us. They would come visit us but sleep over at my sister's. So my mother and my immediate younger sister staying over. When I said it to my ex said, but you know your mother doesn't stay here now. Guess what? On Thursday, they came to my house because they were planning a surprise party and I didn't put 2 and 2 together. They were planning a surprise birthday party for my last born sister. It was until I was on stage. It was a Patience Jonathan event that I was emceeing. I was on stage when Ben Bruce came and said, you know what, cut the event, there's been a plane crash, and they took the first lady out. That was when I remembered that, come, what's today's date? 3rd of June. Oh my God, my sister's birthday. Oh wow, I now started remembering the dream exactly the way it happened, and that was do you know that if I had looked at the name on the plane that crashed, I probably would have been able to tell you the exact airline it was. I saw a plane crash into houses and people burning. And it was exactly the same way it happened. It didn't crash into a road. It didn't crash into a jungle. It didn't crash into a street. Exactly the way I saw it was exactly the way it happened. And that now gave me a format. So when somebody tells me they had a dream, I tell them, look, Your mind is playing, but you see, let me give you an example. When you have a dream, for instance, about Asorok, and God shows you the president's bedroom, and there's a cup that he uses to drink, let's say, tea by his bedside, and on that cup there is a brown stain. Your mind has never gone into Asorok before. You have never watched anything that has taken you into Asorok before. So when you have a dream and you see yourself in that room and you see that cup, that is a dream. But you see, when you have a dream that your boss hates you because your mind has been playing back information in your dormant state, in your subconscious, over a period, and it's now feeding it back to you when you are asleep and you are not in control of your conscious. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I want to ask you today, have you tested, let alone trusted, those people that are seeing visions and dreaming dreams for you? Before you can come and meet me and say you had a dream, it has to be extremely urgent. If it's taste buds, for instance, I hear her dreams, tell me, because I know she has a strong mind. And even if her mind is playing back something in its subconscious, it's something I want to know. It's something that can benefit us. Because your mind itself is a very powerful weapon. It's mind over matter. So your mind is very powerful, and you also need to know what's happening inside of your mind. So start training yourself so you will not be paranoid. Paranoia destroyed the Romans in the Constantine War. Because of a prophecy, they let their guard down and their city was taken over for life. The city Emperor Constantine, the first Emperor Constantine built, was taken over because their morale dropped. And sometimes your morale is raised to a point where it's not supposed to be raised. You throw caution to the wind because somebody gave you a prophecy and said, you know what, you're going to be this. So you need to be extra careful with these things. Have you taken time out to study biases? Read about biases. Inform yourself. Now your biases work even when your mind is asleep. Confirmation bias, illusory correlation, all the biases. Even when your mind is asleep, your biases are real. You have to train your mind to stop thinking, to train your mind to get out of the cage of bias. Then you have a dream and you'll be able to understand that, okay, this is not my mind. Listen, if you have ever seen something before in your life and it shows up to you in your dream, just know that it's your mind playing back your reality. When you have a message and somebody gives you a message and says, and takes you to somewhere you've never been before, you've never thought about it before, it has never occurred to you before, you've never been there before. It's like dreaming about Asorok when you've never entered Asorok before. And then you hear somebody calling the cook, Wale, come here. And then you know that, okay, there's a cook in Asorok called Wale. That is now, all of a sudden, you are now in a spiritual revelation. So you need to start separating reality from illusion. You need to start separating your thoughts, your unconscious mind from spirituality. It's hard because your unconscious mind and your spirit work hand in hand. But you see, because we have over spiritualized everything in Nigeria, there is the highest tendency for you to mistake your unconscious mind for your spirit. And your unconscious mind is saying something, and you're reflecting it as a spiritual revelation. And remember, your mind plays tricks on you. So that's as far as we can go on this. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's end with a prayer. Heavenly Lord, Almighty King, I thank you for the beautiful revelation that you have given us, the understanding of your word and its interpretation so as to suit our daily lives in the best way you have recommended. Father, open our hearts, open our minds, give us understanding, give us depth, and let us always be able to glorify you and praise you, O Lord, in Yahushua's name. Father, give us your wisdom and understanding. Give us your revelation and direction. And while we're at it, your protection and provision. This I ask in Yahushua's name. Amen. Take care, everyone.